What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend. And as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. I feel like I have not sat down and recorded an episode in 19 years. It has been 8 days. 7 days? Yeah, 7 days. I can't count. Regardless, I'm literally uploading one day late because I had a hot date with the hot girl coach, Megan Thee Stallion, last night. We'll get into it. But I literally feel like we have not chatted in so long. I don't know. I don't know if it's because like there's a 3 day weekend on the horizon. I don't know if it's just like time is flying. I don't know. Something's weird. Something's in the air. This past week has felt like it has been eons since we have spoken. So hello. I'm so happy to be recording. I am so excited for this episode. I cannot wait to dive in to this Apple Music best albums of all time, whatever list is called. I have so many thoughts, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. You guys know the drill. We catch up. We'll talk about some Drew releases. A spoiler, this Billy album, I'm obsessed. I am obsessed. But I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to, you know, we'll get to that when we get to it. But first and foremost, hello. I hope you guys all had a great weekend. I hope you're all doing well. New York is in full summer mode. Full summer mode. And I'm putting this on the record. If you are inviting me to an event from now until October, if there's not AC, I'm not showing up. It is so hot. And I'm not complaining. Like, I'm not mad about it. Trust me, I am living for this sunshine. I'm living for this warm weather. T-shirt weather, like, it is just like, it's fabulous. I love it. But my fucking God, it is hot. And what's weird is I didn't grow up needing AC. Everyone always thought I was so weird. I never had an AC unit in any of my apartments ever because I didn't want to pay for it. I was broke. I was like, I can't afford this on my bill every month. Like I no. So it was me and my little fan. You can ask literally my old roommates Kyle and Alyssa, my old roommate Allison. You can ask Thomas. You can ask Jacqueline. Like I literally was the biggest advocate for like I'm not putting an AC in my window because I'm not paying for it. So I just had like a high powered fan. And then Thomas and I started dating, and now he is like a AC stan, and I get it. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. I get it. Like I think I'm having like a renaissance with air conditioning, and I'll never forget my first summer in the city. I'm Jacqueline and I. We if you don't know, we moved to the city actually 3 years ago last week, which is crazy. But we moved in the summer, so she had an AC unit in her window, and I didn't in our room on our little tiny shoebox apartment. And she would be like, "Are you crazy? Why do you not have an AC unit in?" I was like, We're good. Like, I don't need it. I had my fan. We were good to go. I moved in with Thomas. He was like, "Absolutely not. I need an AC unit." And now I can't live with that one. So that's where we're at. But alas, it is full swing summer. I'm just excited. I feel like it's going to be a killer summer. Pride Month is around the corner, and obviously it's going to be just like nonstop all month long and then into the summer. Once Memorial Day weekend hits, it really is just like bus, club, another club, no sleep. Crazy. So I am ready. I am geared up. Let's rock this bitch. Before we chat about Miss Megan Thee Stallion, which was fantastic, spoiler alert, I need to talk about The Challengers. I finally watched it. If you don't know, it's the new Zendaya movie, and it is so good. I absolutely loved it. So I have been listening to this score, the soundtrack, whatever you want to call it, for a while now because I saw a lot of people talking about it online and I was hearing it like in TikToks and things like that. And I was like, I can get down with this. It's very like just like a good beat, just fun. And I really like listening to it when I'm at work. If I do a lot of like writing at work and I like to just like hone in and focus and just like be one with the computer. And when I need to like crank out a blog post, I throw that shit on and I am typing at the speed of light. There is smoke coming off like my keyboard. Like it is game over for that Google Doc. And honestly, I kind of love it. I love a good movie score. One of my favorite vinyl niches to collect is movie soundtracks. So that's something that I appreciate. I think music can bring a movie to such a different level. And the music in this movie, it was already at 100, and the music just takes it over that line even further. I loved this movie. If you don't want spoilers, if you haven't seen it yet, skip ahead, like, give me a minute, literally 60 seconds. Let's start the clock. Zendaya was the problem, right? We can all agree that she was the problem in the whole movie. Like, she tore the two best friends apart. She cheated on, like she was 100% the biggest problem in the movie. If she wasn't a factor in these boys' lives, they would have continued competing together. They wouldn't have been torn apart. They wouldn't have had to be like backstabbing and sneaking around before they were dating, after they were married. Like, it was fully all on Zendaya, right? Like, I think that's the everyone's agreeing there, right? Like, I know I don't like I never want to blame a woman because, like, fuck men, but like at this point, I in this movie, like, I think the men were right. That even hurt to say. I kind of quivered a bit saying that, like, admitting that a man was right. I hate that. But the men were in the right in the situation. The movie was so good. I love that it was just focused on the three of them. There wasn't too many like extra people coming in and adding to the storyline. They were able to support the storyline, just the three of them. If you're planning to see this movie and you don't know much about tennis, you don't need to know anything about tennis because I am not Sporty Spice and I was able to follow along the whole time. It's just like a ongoing theme and kind of like a not a metaphor. I guess it's kind of a metaphor because like Zendaya can't play anymore. It's the whole thing, but just watch it. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. It's still in theaters, I believe, and it's now available to rent. And also, if you have watched it, shoot me a DM, tweet me something, send a smoke signal. Let's chat about this movie because I loved it. Moving on from there, like I said, New York is hot, and last night it was even hotter. Megan the Stallion brought her Hot Girl Summer Tour to Madison Square Garden last night, and let me tell you, Megan was bringing it. Oh my God. And before we hop into the full show, the rumors are true. I, in fact, did get a root canal and an impacted wisdom tooth removed at 1:30 yesterday. But you can bet your ass that I was at Madison Square Garden by 8 p.m. because I was not missing Megan the Stallion. Like, I don't care I had to be wheeled in on a stretcher to see this show. I was not missing the hot girl coach at Madison Square Garden on her first tour. Absolutely not. And I'm so glad that I did. In all seriousness, I'm fine. Literally, the procedure. I Let's pivot for a second, actually. I have been terrified of the dentist in my 20-ish years. Like, I was fine when I was a kid, but in the past like few years, I have been so afraid to go to a dentist. Just like, I'm one of those people who thinks like, oh my God, I'm going to go to a doctor and they're going to tell me I have everything wrong with me. So I just kind of put it off. I finally was like, no, you're going to turn 30 next year, be an adult, go take care of yourself. So I went to this dentist that I found. They're on the Upper East Side. If anyone's looking for a dentist in the area, hit me up. I'll let you know. I don't want to just like air out my personal places of business on the podcast, but they were fabulous. When I tell you I didn't feel a thing in either the root canal or the extraction, they were fabulous. And I think honestly, the fact that the dentist was so great is the reason I was literally able to go see Megan. Because after I told people that I was doing that and then going to Megan, they were like, "Are you insane?" Yes, I am. But also, like, my dentist kind of slayed, so like I was fine. Anyway, moving on from my dental hygiene issues, Megan Thee Stallion put on the show of the fucking lifetime. People keep saying online that this tour looks low budget and like she didn't put a lot into it. I don't know what you're talking about. The choreo was there, the outfits were there, the visuals were there. It was such a good show. Something that I feel like female rappers deal with is like criticism times 50. Like, for some reason, a female, I mean, it happens with all women, realistically, if we want to get on a deep level, but like female rappers specifically really take like the heat and the brunt of criticism. It's kind of like female comics, where they like, unfortunately, are kind of like an outlier in their field because it's kind of a male dominated area, which, like, ew. But at the end of the day, the women are the ones who are actually talented, right? Like, they're the good ones. They're the funny ones. They're the good rappers. They're the entertainers. I don't see Drake up there moving the way Megan is. I'm sure he wishes he could with his BBL, but like, he's not. And Megan Thee Stallion brought it. Let's start from the top. Glorilla opened for her. And now, full transparency, I don't really listen to her that often. Like, I know her hits, I know her TikTok songs. I didn't know any of the songs she was really singing while I was there, but I was mesmerized. Her and her dancers had such good energy that I literally was like, I don't care if she could be singing a Sesame Street song, and just the way that she had a good stage presence. Like her and her dancer just had such good, like what's the word? I don't know, just good chemistry on stage. It was so good. And I love when an opener takes the stage as if they're the main act. There's nothing worse than an opener who just goes on stage, sings a few songs, and then leaves. Give me production, give me choreography. That's what's going to make me want to be a fan. I saw Lotto open for Lizzo last year, maybe 2 years ago at the Garden also. Her set, it could have literally been a Lotto concert and that was it. Her set was incredible, truly one of the best opening acts I have ever seen, and it truly made me into like a Lotto fan. I liked her before. After seeing her open for Lizzo, I was like, oh, I'm sold. It was such a good set, and Glorilla is up there with her. Just, I love to see an opening act take it seriously. You know what I mean? It is such an honor to be an opening act for somebody, and to not go all out like that, it's a missed opportunity. This was such a fabulous set from Glorilla. Loved it. But then it was time for Miss Megan the Stallion to take the stage, and boy, did she take the stage. Now, if you've listened to the podcast for a while, you know that I have the biggest crush on Megan the Stallion. Yes, I am gay. No, there's not many women in the world that I have actual crushes on. Megan Thee Stallion is probably top of my list. I think she is the most beautiful woman in the world. I was mesmerized. I was like, I am no better than a straight man tonight. She, I can't even get into it. She is so stunning. The way she moves her body, her face is just literally like out of a museum. Like she is perfect. I am obsessed with her, and she brought it. That's all I can say. She literally, it was so fucking good. She had so much energy. You could tell she was so appreciative. And that's what I love about her. She is up there rapping about like not dealing with a fuck boy, this, that, whatever, how fire her pussy is, this and that. And then she stops the show and she's like, guys, I'm playing the garden. Like she freaks out. Like she doesn't take herself too seriously. She still brings it in her songs. And then she has this like funny, quirky, comedic side of her that just like she's so true to herself. And I think that's why she has gone as far as she has. Obviously, she's so talented. She's fucking stunning, but like she really is just like true down roots to who she's always been. And I think that's what resonates with her and her fans. Like she is just so funny. She's stunning. She's gorgeous. She is everything to me. She brought out Cardi B, which I mean, just like iconic. They sang bongos, they sang WAP. It really was like a night to remember. And it had me thinking New York really gets the best special guests. Like going to a concert in another city or state just doesn't never compares to New York. And I apologize to anybody listening who doesn't live in New York, but like a show in New York is literally so next level. It is just a different vibe. If you've never come to New York for a concert, add it to your list. It is something like no other. I've been to shows in a lot of states. New York always takes the cake. So Megan was fantastic last night. If she is coming anywhere near you on this tour, she just started it, so she must have a bunch of cities left. Get your ticket, go see this show. Use code 2POP to handle on SeatGeek to get $20 off your order. God, it was such a good show. Just go. You will have a blast. It was fabulous. And that's kind of really all the like catching up to do. We'll talk about, the Billy event that I went to while we talk about the releases and things like that. But like as far as things go, I think it's time to just hop right in and let's chat about some new music because there was plenty fall. So first up, our first segment, you guys know the drill. Drew releases our new music from last week and our new music from this week, which I don't have any new music on my radar for this Friday. If I'm missing someone or forgetting someone, I apologize. But I don't think there's anyone releasing this Friday, which kind of feels nice. It's kind of a breather. But if somebody is releasing, my bad. I'll post about it on my Instagram stories, which if you didn't know, if you listen to the podcast and don't follow me, I always post the new releases on Friday as well. So if you forget, I know like there's usually some time between Wednesday and Friday if you listen on release day. I always post them on my Instagram story, so you can always find the new releases there. Again, I have this playlist on Spotify and Apple Music where you could find them. But let's hop into last week's releases because there was a few. First and foremost, we got Miley Cyrus's cover of Psycho Killer, which is part of the A24 Talking Heads tribute album, and I'm gonna be honest, I did not love it. I know that's shocking. If you know, you know I love me some Miley. It's not that it wasn't good. Like she sounded great. It's not really my vibe. And like I know the song. I obviously it's like an iconic song. Just wasn't for me. Like I will probably not be listening to this song again. No disrespect, it is what it is. I loved the Lord track. I thought that was great. For some reason, this didn't do it for me. Maybe it needs to grow on me, but I don't even know if I'm gonna go back to it to let it grow on me. Love you, Miley, but it is what it is. It's not you, it's me. Quite literally, Miley, it's not you. I'm the problem. And I can admit that. That's fine. Our next release, Miss Kate Hudson. You guys know I was so excited for this release only because it was a passion project. And like, what's more fun than releasing something just for fun? Kate Hudson does not need to be releasing music. She is a-okay. This is fully a passion project, just something she's always wanted to do, and she's finally doing it, and I love it. I listened to the album, and I did like it. It was very good. Will I be putting it in my rotation? Probably not, only because if you know my music taste, I want upbeat, pop, fun, cunty, like that's very much me. Like I very much like an upbeat. This was more, I don't even know the vibe to call it. It's, don't get me wrong, it was a very good album. Like I think her voice is really unique and I liked listening to it, but it just, again, won't be in my rotation. That is the Kate Hudson release. And now the star of the show, Billie fucking Eilish. Hit Me Hard and Soft, the third studio album from Billie Eilish is here, and I am obsessed with it. I'm gonna go on record and say it might be my favorite Billie album. I love this album so much. Let's back up a little bit. Thursday night last week, Thursday or Wednesday? I don't know. Wednesday or Thursday. I went, what day was it? It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. What's wrong with me? Some night last week, I went to see the Billie Eilish Hit Me Hard and Soft listening party at the Barclays Center. Billie was there, Phineas was there, and it was genuinely one of the coolest events I have ever been to. Essentially, it was Billie on the floor of the Barclays Center, running around with pretty lights and smoke. Phineas was following her around with a camera to get her on the screens, and it was just so well done. There was lasers, lights. I will say it was a bit overstimulating. Like I knew what songs I liked from the first listen, but I couldn't really like soak them up because I was like watching Billie Eilish and then I was watching a smoke cloud and then I was watching a laser. Like there was a lot going on. Like my brain was truly on 100 miles a minute, but I was loving every second of it. I was like, I don't need to take these songs in right now. I can listen to the album in 2 days. Like I'm good. I can just enjoy being here. I don't need to pick a favorite. I feel like everyone's always like, "What's your favorite song? Did it off your first listen?" Music needs to grow. You need to evolve with music. And when you're watching it at like a visualizer listening party with Billie Eilish just running around this floor of the Barclays Center having a field day, it was not the time or place to pick a favorite, but there were definitely some standouts to me. But we've had the album for what, like 5 days now, and I love it. It is such a cohesive, perfect work of art from start to finish. I love it. It is the perfect length, 10 tracks, is like 40 minutes long. I love this album. I was really struggling picking a top three, so I picked a top four, but genuinely, there's not a song on the album that I dislike. My only note for the album, and I'm genuinely mean, the only thing that I wished on the album was different is having a longer version or like two separate parts of and if I butcher this, I'm sorry, but L'amour de ma vie, L'amour de ma vie. I don't know, whatever that means. I love like the upbeat hyper pop kind of vibe at the end, and I just when she did it at the listening party, I was like, oh, this is going to be one of my favorites. And then when I was listening to the album, I realized it was part of the song before it. Like it didn't click when I was at the listening party, and I was like, oh fuck. I was like, well, not that I don't like the first half, but they're two very different vibes, and I wanted the second half. And literally this morning, Billie must have heard me somehow. She released an extended cut just of that second half of the song with like an extra verse or so in it. So now we have that part as its own, and we have the original song, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I love the contrast. It's very much like Happier Than Ever, the title track, where it starts slow and then goes more rock. This starts kind of slow, then goes into a little more like electronic, upbeat pop kind of vibe. I loved it. I loved it. Billie is so good at doing that, at combining sounds and somehow making it work. I feel like a lot of artists can't do that. They if they tried, it just would sound like they were trying too hard almost. I get like, don't shoot me, but like that's kind of the vibe that you get when people do that. Billie knows how to mesh a sound, how to put a song together, and just like she's so talented. So my top four, obviously L'amour de ma vie, Chihiro, Birds of a Feather, and The Greatest. Now that first song, Chihiro, I know it's a character from that anime movie. It's slipping my mind, but don't know how to pronounce it. I love Birds of a Feather, fantastic, the greatest, obsessed, the whole album. I mean, Lunch, Skinny, like I could genuinely say, oh, my favorite song on the album is the whole album because I love this album. It is fantastic. I'm very intrigued if we are getting a second album. There's been those rumors of like a double album theory and how she ends Blue saying, when can I hear the next one? There's a phone number in one of the songs. If you call it, it goes to a voicemail of Billie being like, hey, I'm not ready yet. Let me call you back. So we're assuming she's going to call everybody back when the second album drops. I don't really know. I'm content with these 10 songs, but if we get more, I'm sure I will love them because this album is probably my top three of the year. I know it's a little early, we're only in May, but we've had a lot of albums and I think I can confidently say this is my top three with Ariana, Beyonce, and now Billie. I know that's a bold statement to have top threes of the year so far, but as of right now, those are my reigning queens, and I'm obsessed. I love it. I did not expect to love it as much as I do, and I'm not mad about it. I'm obsessed. This album is fantastic. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out. Billie Eilish does not miss. This is, again, just like I said with Dua Lipa, let's talk about a 3 album run. Billie Eilish has a perfect 3 album run. I'm obsessed. Cannot wait to just keep digesting this album and soaking it all up. I love it. And like I said, I don't have any upcoming releases on my radar this week. If anything is coming out and I miss it, I will post it on my Instagram story on Friday when I realize that I fucked up. But for now, we're skipping the new releases of this week part and we're going to go right into some pop culture topics, starting with something that I was so excited for last week, and it exceeded every single expectation I could have ever had for it, the Wicked trailer. Now, there is no denying that I am over the rainbow excited for the Wicked movie, let alone it being Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo and just like all of that, but just like Wicked in general. I've talked about how much I love The Wizard of Oz before and how obviously anything Oz related just had a special place in my heart. Wicked is nothing shy of that. And this trailer, oh my God. There's a whole video of me reacting to the video when it came out on my TikTok and my Instagram, so you can go check that out. It kind of went viral on TikTok, like not to brag or anything, but yeah, like go check it out. Nothing major. Ew, I hated that. But anyway, if you want to watch my actual live reaction, that is up on my TikTok and the Two Pop the Handle Instagram. But let's get into it. I mean, first and foremost, Ariana Grande singing Popular, even that little clip, I felt chills and goosebumps up and down every inch of my body. I am so excited for this soundtrack to come out and just to have, I love the original Broadway cast, obviously. I mean, Kristen Chenoweth, Idina Menzel, you literally can't get better. But having a new take on this album when this comes out with Ariana, Cynthia, and the rest of the cast is going to be such a refresh for an album that we have had for what, 20 years now? Wicked literally turns 20 this year. And so to get a new recording of this and just like the new songs that are allegedly going to be in it and like how they're what's the word, reconfiguring them maybe for film, like there's just going to be such a fun spin on them, and I'm so excited. A lot of people are saying they're worried that like Ariana and the directors and everyone, they're going to like take it to a spin that isn't paying homage to the Broadway show, and I just think those people need to really sit down and think about the fact that like Ariana Grande was pretty much trained by Kristen Chenoweth. She has mentored her entire career. Nobody else is more equipped for this role than Ariana Grande, and you can argue with the wall. She was born to play Glinda. Cynthia Erivo was born to play Elphaba. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, if you have concerns for this movie, people were commenting on my reaction video and they were like, ugh, I'm still concerned that Ariana's gonna ruin it. I'm still concerned about this or that. I don't care. I genuinely could care less what you think about how Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are going to perform in this movie because at the end of the day, who's flying around on the broomstick and who's coming out of a fucking bubble? Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. So you can take your opinion and shove it up your hairy. Cue the bus coming in, Regina George. But for real, I all these comments, I just can't. I cannot. This trailer was fucking perfect. Then we get Cynthia Erivo singing Defying Gravity, which, oh my God, like the fact that this movie is going to end with Cynthia singing Defying Gravity, and then we have to wait another year for the second part. At least we get Defying Gravity in the first half of it, but like to end on that is going to be it's oh my God. I'm ready to cry thinking about it. That ending riff that she does was fantastic. My favorite thing about the Alphabas on Broadway and any adaptation is when they do their own thing with that end riff. And Cynthia Erivo did not disappoint. She took it, she made it her own. We also got our first glimpse into Emerald City, into Oz, and you can see it in my reaction video. I literally like I had something come over my body seeing like the Emerald City and Oz and everything just like come to life in this movie because again, I'm a 29-year-old gay man. I love The Wizard of Oz. I love theater. This movie is going to alter my brain chemistry and I am so excited to see everything just come out in the next few months. I know that there's a lot going on press-wise for them. There's so many partnerships coming out, and just like so much going on. So the Wicked content is going to be a plethora of content to say the least, and I cannot wait. So if you are not as excited for Wicked, I apologize because it's all I'm going to talk about until Thanksgiving. Moving on to our next topic, and this is the topic that I am most excited to talk about today. It is the Apple Music 100 Best Albums of All Time list. Now, last week, it was starting to get released when I was recording, but I knew that I was going to probably record a day late, and the final 10 of the list came out today. So I was like, oh, that's perfect. Let's recap it next week. I didn't want to like tease it. I didn't want to like edge you guys and then like have to continue it. So we're going to go full dive in. Essentially, if you don't know, Apple Music had a team of experts and a select group of artists. It was like Maren Morris, Maggie Rogers, Pharrell, J Balvin, Charlie XCX, so many different artists. I know like Honey Dijon, Mark Hoppus, so many different artists from different genres and, you know, decades and walks of life came together, and a bunch of industry professionals, and they essentially put together the list of 100 best albums of all time. And now I have a lot of thoughts. So what I did is I went through each 10. So, you know, like 100 to 91, 90 to 81, 80 to 71, and I just picked out the ones that stood out to me. Anything I don't mention, I either am not familiar with or it just doesn't seem like something I would put on the list. And that's not true. It just is something that like didn't speak to me and I didn't want to talk about it. It obviously is on the list for a reason. I am not an industry professional. I am just a boy with a microphone. But yeah, so I went through, I picked out the ones that, you know, spoke to me, and we're going to go through. There's only like 20 that I picked out. So I know it sounds hefty, but we're going to dive in. So starting out with the first 10, number 100 on the list is Robin Body Talk. I mean, Dancing on My Own and Call Your Girlfriend Alone make it on this list. So I'm just happy to see that this is on the list because those are two of the greatest pop songs we have ever gotten in all time. So very happy to see that this is on the list. I think it sits comfortably at 100. Again, I don't think it's a great album, but I don't think it's like top 20, you know, but those two songs alone, like not being recognized in this list would have been criminal. So very happy there. Next up, we have Lord, Pure Heroine, coming in at 96. I think it deserves higher, but the fact that Lord had an album on this list at all makes me happy. Spoiler alert, Melodrama is not on the list. We will talk about it when we get to the end, because I'm a little bitter. Next up, album number 93 on the list was Solange, A Seat at the Table. Absolutely deserved. This album, when it came out, I was like, all right, cool. It's a Solange album. Like, it's Solange. Obviously, talent courses through her body. So, duh, it's going to be good. And I remember listening to it one of the first times and being like, oh shit, this album is phenomenal and 100% deserved a spot on this list. I am so happy to see Solange get any type of flowers. Our next group of 10 is 90 through 81. 89, The Fame Monster by Lady Gaga. The fact that this isn't in the top 20 feels homophobic. It feels so incorrect. It feels like a deaf person made the list. The Fame Monster is, in my opinion, and Apple Music's best body of work Lady Gaga has ever released. Even just the 7-track EP is truly some of the best music and body of work I have ever heard in my life. And I'm happy that it's on the list at all, but 89 out of 100 feels criminal to me. I'm happy it's on the list. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy. But bitch, this should have been in the top 20. But I'm happy it's on the list. Next up, we have another fantastic, perfect, gorgeous body of work. Album number 85, Golden Hour, Casey Musgraves. I mean, yeah, obviously, one album of the year. It is such a fantastic album. I don't need to say much more about that there. The next group of 10, number 77 on the list, was Like a Prayer by Madonna. I mean, this list without Madonna would have been criminal. And I mean, Like a Prayer obviously is the one to pick, I would say, from Madonna's catalog. Very happy to see her on the list. Next up is Bad Bunny, Un Verano Sin Ti. I probably just butchered that. Sorry. I mean, that album took over the world when it came out. So if this wasn't on the list, it would have been criminal. Number 72, SOS by SZA. My girl. My girl. I will say, again, I think they should have been at least in the top 50. SOS, a perfect album. And let's note the fact that Control is not on this list. And I go back and forth. Sometimes I think Control is better than SOS. Sometimes I think SOS is better than Control. Regardless, the two albums are literally perfect from start to finish. There is not a single thing I would change on either of them. But I am surprised that Control didn't make the list, but SOS did. I thought it would have been both, genuinely. I don't know. I also think SOS should be much higher on the list, but again, I wasn't there in the room where it happened. Next up, I actually didn't find any albums from 70 to 69, so I completely skipped that 10. Wasn't nothing on the docket for me. Next up, we have Anti by Rihanna, number 55. Yes, that feels correct. If any Rihanna album's going to be on this list, I'm so glad that it's Anti. I love that album with every fiber of my being. I don't think there's honestly a bad Rihanna album. Like, her albums always hit there. She has such a fantastic catalog, which is also why I'm like very okay with R9 not being out yet. Like, take your time. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. But if any of her albums are gonna be on this, I'm very glad that it's Anti. Next up, 47 is Take Care by Drake. 100%. This album was such a moment in music and pop culture. This was one of the first albums I remember listening to and being like, this album, I remember it literally took my high school, and I'm sure everybody else's, by storm. I feel like I couldn't turn a corner in my high school without somebody singing it, couldn't go on Twitter without somebody quoting it. Like, Take Care is a perfect album from beginning to end. And I think it's perfectly placed. I think 47 is a very solid spot on this list. I am not mad about the placement there. Next up on my list, number 42 is Control by Janet Jackson. Now, I I don't listen to Janet Jackson often. She's not somebody that I put on, but obviously I know her music. I respect her. She's fucking Janet Jackson. I forgot how good this album was when I saw it come out on the list earlier this week or last week. I forget when this part of the list came out. I was like, let me go listen to that again. And it is such a good album. If you are not familiar with this album, make yourself familiar with it. You'll know it, I think, when you put it on. This is an album that I kind of discovered when I was just like kind of experimenting with the music that I was trying to figure out what I liked, what I didn't like when I was in my like Tumblr phase. I feel like I remember it was like it had to be high school. So it was like 2011, 2013. I was really just like listening to different sounds, listening to different music and just trying to be like, what music do I like? Just come to find out that there's really not a genre that I dislike. But I remember this album I found, I forget what song it was, but there was one song specifically that came up on my Tumblr, and it was this account that I followed. Oh, I wish I could remember their URL. It was just an account, and they would literally just post like one single audio track I don't know if it was every hour or every day. They were just always posting like it was essentially like a big playlist. Oh my God, it's gonna drive me nuts not remembering the name of this blog. But they posted, I want to say it was Nasty from that album. And I remember listening to it and being like, whoa, what is this? And I went and listened to the album and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Again, I don't listen to it often, but this album 110% needed a spot on this list. And now this next one. Number 36 is none other than Beyonce by Beyonce. If you know me, you know that Self Titled is my favorite Beyonce album. Renaissance is very close to it, and they do teeter, and then sometimes Four takes it. Like, I definitely go back and forth, but Self Titled by Beyonce is an album that completely changed my life and changed the way that I listen to music and I appreciate music and I appreciate artistry. So if this album wasn't on the list, I would have to be at Apple Music headquarters with the pitchfork because, like, this album changed the music industry. No, you can argue with the wall. There is literally no denying it is straight facts that this album was one of the biggest moments in music history, and it is going to be written about in textbooks if it's not already. So this being on the list at all was a must. 36, a little high for my liking, but again, it is what it is. Next up on the list that I pulled from is number 32, Ready to Die by Notorious B.I.G. Not an album that I put on often or I listen to, but just everybody knows this album. Everybody knows, or at least the cover. It's like obviously it's him as the baby on the cover. Like it is such an iconic album in music history that again, if this wasn't on the list, it would be Criminal. Much like this next one, Jagged Little Pill, Alanis Morissette came in at number 31. Just like a quintessential album in music history. Such a just like, oh, that is a body of work. It is from start to finish. I mean, they made a Broadway musical about it. Like, they're able to tell a story with this album alone. It is a quintessential, like, piece of music history. I think it deserved a higher spot on the list, but again, or I guess lower? No, higher. It should have been above 31, under 31, closer to the top of the list. It's confusing when they count backwards, but I'm like, I want it to be higher, but it's actually a lower number, but it should have been 30 or lower from there, is what I'm saying. But happy isn't the list at all. Next up, number 30, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish. I mean, absolutely. That album it was such a moment in music. I feel like it was such a highly anticipated debut album. And it was just like, I remember when it came out, I was listening to it on my drive to work. I was still living on Long Island and listening to it. I was like, oh, bitch. Oh, she did it. It's such a good album. Very happy to see this on there. Next up, number 28. Not an album that I listen to often, but again, this would be Criminal if I didn't just give it its flowers. Number 28, The Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd. I mean, yeah, like, duh. Duh, hello. Next up is number 26. And as much as I hate to admit it, as much as I hate to give this man any type of airtime, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy Kanye West is a fantastic album. That was back before, Kanye was Kanye. And I love that album. That is such a fantastic album. Kanye's early work is truly incredible. That's not groundbreaking. That's not news. That is a fact. Like the beginning of his career, he truly was creating music that was so revolutionary and just like, I mean, Monster alone. Hello, like Kanye, as controversial and much as I would like to not speak about him, this album at least deserved this spot on the list. And moving on to our next section, number 18. This is going to be a hot take, but 1989 by Taylor Swift should not be this high on this list. It should be on the list. I think it should be maybe like 25. But I don't think like 18 is a high number for this list. Out of all albums ever, I think it needed to be set back just a bit. And that's coming from somebody who 1989 is literally one of my favorite Taylor albums. It is my top two. Like I am a 1989 stan until the day that I die. But putting it at number 18, I was genuinely surprised it was that high. I don't know. And that's just my opinion, but take it as you will. Next up, number 15. This album is Oh, I love this album with my entire body and soul. It is 21 by Adele. That is not an unpopular opinion. This album truly took the world by storm. This is music. Like Adele has never released a bad album, but 21 is perfection. The album is I could kiss it. I love that album so much. It's honestly I listen to it out of all of Adele's music. I think I put on 21 the most often. What a fantastic album. Oh, I love that album in my bones. The next album, The Blueprint, Jay-Z, obviously, there's no denying Jay-Z's impact on music in general, so he needed a spot on this list. And I will say I was a little shocked that Jay-Z had a higher spot than Beyonce, but hold that thought, put a pin in it. We'll come back to that in about 45 seconds. And number 11 on the list is Rumors, Fleetwood Mac. Duh. That is also like the first vinyl anybody ever gets. Actually, funny enough, I don't have it on vinyl, but like typically I feel like one of the first vinyls anyone gets is this album, this Fleetwood Mac album. Everybody knows it, everybody loves it. It is one of the most recognizable album covers in the world. Absolutely. I think it sits perfectly at number 11. And moving on to the top 10, we're going to go through all 10 albums. So I didn't leave any of them out. I thought it was important to include them all. Coming in at number 10, Miss Beyonce Lemonade. Now, let me just say, she is the only female artist on this list twice. I mean, mother isn't a strong enough word. Lemonade is what a, what a body of work, from the album itself to the visuals to just like everything that came with it. It truly is a incredible, perfect body of work, and I think number 10 of all the best albums of all time is a perfect spot for this album. Number 9 is Nevermind, Nirvana. Again, one of the most recognizable album covers ever. If you don't know if it's the baby in the pool, like it is truly such an iconic album cover, such an iconic album. Do I listen to it? Do I know it that well? No, but it's fucking Nirvana. Yes, 100% needed a spot in this top 10. Number 8. Number 8 is Back to Black by Amy Winehouse. This should have been in the top 3. This should have been number 3, and we will get to what number 3 is, and we'll piggyback on this in a second, but this should have been top 3. Back to Black by Amy Winehouse is such I don't have the words for how much I love that album. I often think about how upsetting it is that Amy Winehouse is no longer with us and how her family profits off the fact that she's dead, and like they just continue to make money off of her, but yet they couldn't dare to lift a finger to help her when she was here, when she was pretty much crying for help. But none of my business. So, let bygones be bygones. But Back to Black, if it wasn't on the list, again, I would have been at Apple Music headquarters with the pitchfork and a torch, ready to riot. Number 7 is Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick Lamar. Obviously, Kendrick needed a spot in this list. Next up, Songs in the Key of Life, Stevie Wonder. Again, another icon, absolutely makes sense. Number 6 is Blonde by Frank Ocean. I'm honestly surprised that it was Blonde and not Channel Orange, but again, who am I to say? Frank Ocean has made such waves in the music industry that if he wasn't on this list, it would actually be criminal. I Not that I'm surprised in the top 10, but I am surprised that he's in the top 10 only based off of the rankings of other albums. Very deserved. The album is great, but I am surprised that A, it was Blonde over Channel Orange, because I feel like Channel Orange did. It just had more of like a. Actually, I'm not even gonna say it packed more of a punch because when Blonde came out, it was everywhere. So I take that back. Scratch that. Moving on, number 4 is Purple Rain, Prince and the Revolution. Duh. Yeah, like obviously. Number 3 is Abbey Road by the Beatles, and I'm gonna say it. I don't like the Beatles, and they should not be number 3. Amy Winehouse should be. Put them in the back. They had a few albums on this list. I want to say they had like 2 or 3 on the list. I get it. It's the Beatles. I think if their music was released today, it wouldn't have been as, there wouldn't be so much hoopla. But I get it. Beatles mania was a thing. It was people were growing crazy, and I get it. They were this and they were that. I don't like the Beatles. They are not my cup of tea. John Lennon is kind of like not a great person at all, and just like I don't know. But hey, I am not Apple Music, so they sit there at number 3, number 2, and number 1. Yeah, the next two make so much sense to me to be the top two. These are albums that have been so beyond influential to so many hundreds, maybe thousands of artists, have touched people in ways that just like they are incredible albums from start to finish. And it is Thriller by Michael Jackson at number two, and The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill at number one. Just, I don't even know what I would say other than like, yeah, obviously these two. I mean, Michael Jackson in and of himself, like a literal legend. Like he did so many incredible things in the music industry and performing and just everything he did musically was so revolutionary. So if he didn't have a spot in the top five, again, would have been criminal. And I mean, Miss Lauryn Hill. Do I have to say anything more? She is it's Miss Lauryn Hill. That being said, those are the ones that I picked out from the list. The fact that Teenage Dream by Katy Perry, Melodrama by Lorde, Renaissance by Beyonce, no Celine Dion, no Whitney Houston, no Mariah Carey. Like, there's a lot of people missing from this list, and I'm just like questioning where they are. Where's Whitney? Where's Celine Dion? Where's Mariah Carey? Where's Katie? Where's Ariana Grande? And like, I know music is subjective and it's biased, it is what it is, but like, you're not gonna put Teenage Dream by Katy Perry on this list. It is literally a record breaking album. Bias aside, it's a record breaking fucking album and it does not have a bad song on it. So to not have Teenage Dream by Katy Perry on this list over any of the other people I just listed, that feels wrong. They definitely could have taken somebody out. The Beatles did not need two or three spots on this list. Katy Perry, I am so sorry. I am so sorry for the robbery that happened on this list. Now, the albums that I named, they made sense. But again, I named what, 30 albums? There were 70 albums that, like, again, they, not that they don't deserve to be on the list, but like, there could have been some substitutions. Renaissance not being on the list, a little crazy. But I'll give it to them because she has two. She's the only female artist with two on the list. Teenage Dream, Sweetener or Eternal Sunshine. Thank you next. Not on the list. Nothing by Mariah Carey, nothing by Whitney Houston, nothing by Celine Dion. Just doesn't sit right. And there's so many other artists who could have, should have, would have been on this list had other people be in the room. And I don't think the list is wrong. I just think, it's not right. But it's just like, oh, these are the best 100 albums to you. The best albums to these people. You know what I mean? Music is subjective. It's just like the Grammys. When someone isn't nominated or somebody doesn't win, yeah, it sucks, but it doesn't mean it's a bad album. It's just held to a standard that we're expecting it to be. So that's what I'm gonna say on that. I do really like that they did this. I thought it was a really fun, really cool thing to do. I don't think any like streaming service has done this before. If they have, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought this was a fun way to do it. I thought the rollout was perfectly executed, doing 10 per day. There was a build up. They did a sneak peek of the top 10 last night just to get everybody more excited. Kudos to whoever put this rollout together because it was perfectly done and I loved it. And it was so much fun to just like watch it happen through the week. So that is Apple Music's 100 best albums of all time. To them, not to me, but maybe one day I'll release Two Pop to Handle's best 100 albums of all time. Maybe I'll start that list now and I'll get, I'll add it to my list of ideas that we have. But that was just something I was like, this is so fun and right up my alley. We need to talk about it. Moving down through the list, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, are they engaged? Now, I have to give credit where credit's due because my friends, Casey Delaney and Megan, they called me Saturday night and they were like, Taylor and Travis are 100% engaged. So this is nothing that stemmed from me. They found all of this. They called me, they told me, and I was like, oh, you're right. First and foremost, Taylor has been doing a lot with her ring finger on stage. If you have not seen, she's been waving that thing around as if it's like a fancy, shiny new toy. You don't just go to Lake Como for no reason. And they had a very romantic private getaway right after they were in Paris, in which Gigi Hadid and Bradley Cooper were at. So if they were going to get engaged, it would make sense to have two of your best friends there to then go celebrate on your private getaway in Italy. do we think that they're engaged? There was that article too that came out the other day. It kind of flew under the radar for me. I didn't even know that it came out. But again, Delaney, Casey, and Megan pointed out the fact that in the article it says that people close to Taylor and Travis think that the engagement is coming soon. And if we think back to Dumois' whole scandal where they said that they were already married or engaged, or was it with Joe? Whatever it was. Yeah, I think Dumois was saying that Joe and Taylor had gotten married. Tree shut it down instantly. So, for any news of Taylor's engagement and married life to come out, it has to get through Tree Payne, which is impossible to do. So, something's going on over there in that Taylor Swift camp. I don't know what it is, but I think she might have a ring on it. I think Travi might have liked it, so he put a ring on it. I don't know, or it's coming. Something, I don't know, between the trip, being in Paris, the finger little movement, something's going on with those two. I don't know, but I've got my eye on them. And I need to again give my credit to where credit's due. Delaney, Casey, and Megan, thank you for bringing this all to my attention because I'm intrigued, and we'll put a pin in it for now. But we will be circling back to this. Something's weird. I don't know. I don't know. And on the other side of relationships, it's been breakup city. Harry Styles and Taylor Russell have ended their relationship after just over a year. Apparently, they had some fight on their trip to Japan. They were spending some time apart, and now they have split. I didn't follow this couple too much. I knew that they were dating, but I kind of saw the two of them as separate entities. Harry is obviously Harry Styles. Also, why was Harry Styles not on the best album list? Weird. Anyway, and then I always see Taylor Russell more as like her fashion girly. I mean, that video of her taking the cement jacket off in front of Anna Wintour with Anna Wintour's jaw on the floor, rent free in my mind. Rent free in my mind. And she looked gorgeous at the Met Gala. Like, she's very fashion forward. Like, she knows how to dress. And so I see them separate entities. So this wasn't a breakup that really like affected me, but I don't know. Harry's back on the market, so I guess shoot your shot, ladies. Go do your thing, or fellas. You know, his sexuality is a little fluid. We never really know where he leans. So Harry's back on the market, and there's trouble in paradise for Bennifer. So there's been like a lot of back and forth with like, oh, they're breaking up, oh, they're not breaking up, oh, they were seen together, oh, they weren't. But there's something definitely stirring with JLo and Ben Affleck. I don't know if they're together, I don't know if they're not. There was rumors that like her attitude to him was so negative that they just I don't know. It just leads me back. JLo needs a slap in the face and a reality check, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Good to go. And the final bit of just like pop culture news before we go into our TV recap and our Yes and Mess, Sabrina Carpenter absolutely devoured SNL. Devoured it. I mean, Espresso, Song in the Summer. She killed that performance. The newspaper at the beginning, hilarious. What did the headline say? Sabrina Carpenter loves to be on top. She is so naughty. I love it. She's so naughty and I love it. And then the other thing, it was like, uh, like people are up in arms over a grammar debate of me espresso. So funny. Again, she is so in on the joke every single time. And I love the fact that she did a nonsense intro or outro rather and did not make it about Taylor Swift. They didn't even mention All Too Well once on the episode. Thank fucking God. If Sabrina took this moment and gave any homage to the whole All Too Well of it with Jake Gyllenhaal, I honestly would have been very annoyed. This is such a huge moment, such a major part of anybody's career. And I love that she took it for herself. They didn't mention any drama, they didn't do anything about it. Her and Jake were hugging on stage, like good to go. I mean, realistically, they do spend a lot of time together rehearsing for SNL. So I'm sure they did get close. But like, obviously, she's besties with Taylor. Obviously, she's like, we know that there's a 10-minute song about you. But they put things aside if there was anything aside, and she killed it. I love her. I can't get enough. I feel like she is someone I talk about now every single week, and I hope that never stops. I just love her. And moving on to some other TV news, some TV recap. All Stars 9, RuPaul's Drag Race is finally here. I can finally talk about it. Like you guys know, I went to the early screening of episode 1 2 weeks ago, so I couldn't spoil anything then, but now both episodes 1 and 2 are out. Let's talk about them because I'm obsessed. First and foremost, I love this season. I love this cast. I love this non-elimination thing they're doing. I was a little skeptical, but now I'm into it. I get it, and I'm here for it. So episode one starts out with a reading challenge. And a reading challenge on All Stars versus a regular season just hits so differently because the girls know each other so much better and there's so much more lore to it, like they can pull from Twitter beef they've had, or pull from looks they've done, or pull from like when I forget who it was, but whoever brought up Valentina on, oh, that was on a roast. But the whole Valentina Rent Live thing, like they were able to pull from that. That was a roast on All Stars. I'm forgetting what season, but regardless, like I love when the girls know each other more on All Stars because it really does add that like extra layer to just the lore of it. Loved the reading challenge. The challenge this week was the girl group challenge, which I mean, I love a girl group. I say it every time I recap a drag race season, which is one time, but I love a girl group challenge. It is so much fun. They all killed it. I mean, drag queens do save the world. And it was such a good, they did such a good job. All the verses were there, the choreo was there. I will say I was a little nervous when they were doing the choreography and nobody was following Georges because Georges was like, I don't count, I just dance, which kind of cunty. Like she's like, I don't need to do an 8 count. I just do it. I dance, my body moves, and that's what happens. But like, you can't you can't nominate yourself as choreographer and then not teach it like a choreographer. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, it ended up being fabulous. I loved the song. I loved the choreo. I thought everyone did such a great job. And then we get into the runway, which was fragrance, like signature scent, signature fragrance. This was a really fun idea. I loved the idea of having like their bottle matching their runway. And it reminded me, I think it was season five. Yeah, it was season five, which we actually just rewatched, which is probably why it's top of mind. But on season five, they did a fragrance scent as well. They had to make that commercial for it. And Roxy did Thick and Juicy on her season. And now on All Stars, she did her second one, which I love when they do branding challenges because, again, I'm a marketing girly. I love branding. I love like a cohesive image and thought. So, first and foremost, before we even get into each look, I just have to say fucking plastique tiara. Oh my God. Oh my literal God. How did her wings move like that? How did she control them to move in and out, not once, but twice? And then to have the fan in her perfume bottle to blow her hair? Girl, that TikTok money is crazy. Crazy. Oh my God, she devoured this. But moving into everybody's runway, Gottmik, I loved hers. It was fun. It was like a little ball and chain moment, which at first I didn't get it, and then it made sense. It was like, okay, crashing, if you're gonna hit something, like if you hit something with that ball, it's gonna crash something. It was like a spiky ball if you didn't watch it. So then I was like, it clicked. I liked it. It didn't blow me away, but it was good. I did like it. And Nina West. So I didn't fully understand her concept at first, and then when I thought about it more, the whole prison thing, like drag is a crime kind of vibe, then it kind of connected and I made sense. And I actually really liked her bottle. I liked the way she did her makeup and her dress to match it. I thought this was a really good look for Nina. I really liked it. Next up is Miss Angeria. I love this bitch so much. I fucking adore Angeria. She is just the sweetest little Southern belle there ever was. I ever did see. I love her. Her look was great. She is so funny. She is so good with just like sticking true to herself. She is everything. I love her. She was my favorite on season 14, and I'm loving seeing her back on my TV. She is everything. Vanjie was good. Nothing crazy though. It didn't like blow me away. And I also like didn't think her perfume really spoke to her. I don't see Vanjie as like a toxic person. She's somebody that everybody really likes, you know? I don't know. I didn't I under the concept was there and like it was just like create a perfume and whatever, sure, but it was supposed to be a signature scent, which was supposed to be speaking to you. And like Vanjie is fun, she's flirty, she's funny. Like I don't see her as toxic. And I think they actually said that on I forget what I was. It was either one of the judges' critiques or when I went to the advanced screening and they did the interview, they might have mentioned it there. I forget, but I when they said it, I was like, okay, I had the exact same thought. I'm glad I'm not crazy. She still looked. I mean, she's Vanjie. She's gonna look fucking gorgeous. Gorgeous. It was cute. It was very gorgeous, very spicy. Very. Her perfume was silly. You know, the scent of marijuana, scent of VCR cleaner. Like it was just very funny, very gorgeous. So I think she nailed it there. Chanel knocked hers out of the park. Using Chanel number one as your perfume scent name and then looking like that, she is, ugh, that's a bitch who knows how to do drag. I loved her look. She looked gorgeous and such a genius way to brand yourself. And last but certainly not least, Miss Roxy Andrews. You want to talk about another bitch who knows how to do drag? Oh my God. The mug, the hair, the looks. She is just everything. And yeah, I think I'm Team Roxy this season. Between Roxy and Plastique are my two right now that I'm like, if either of them win, I'm sold. Like they're all chewing this competition up. They are eating it. They are everything. I'm loving it. But like Roxy and Plastique. Oh my God. So we end up finding out that Georges and Angie win. They lip sync to $1 Million Bill by Whitney Houston. Angie turned it out. Having the towel to like, just like it was genius. Genius, so smart. And the fact that Angie beat Georges in a lip sync, you gotta clap it up. I'm obsessed. I've also realized when I'm editing that I clap and I snap and do a lot of things a lot, but my voice isolation doesn't always pick it up. So to anybody listening on audio, if I ever like go silent for a second after I'm trying to applaud something and you don't hear it, I'm probably applauding and looking like an idiot because you can't hear it. But that being said, Angeria wins the first episode. My queen, I love her, my little Southern belle. And she does take the ruby red scissors, which hilarious, or ruby red snippers, excuse me, and cuts off Roxy, meaning that Roxy cannot win a badge in episode 2. Moving on to episode 2, it is the ball. If you listen to my recap of season 16, you know that the ball is major. I love a ball episode. It is so much fun. They had to bring 3 looks and they brought it. I was very into this. Also, love the idea of a paintball, like just a silly play on words. So much fun. Let's dive into these looks. First up was Monochromatica. Angeria, I loved her dress. I loved her hair, but I didn't love them together. They they were great on their own, but together I was just like, I don't know. I thought she looked gorgeous. Like it wasn't that she looked bad. I just was like, they kind of like didn't communicate together. But again, she still looks fucking stunning. Chanel, she is so fucking good at drag. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, she knows. I mean, she's literally the first drag queen to ever walk into the workroom. Makes sense, but like, fucking loved all of her looks. Every single one of her looks for this ball were insane, but obviously, just right now, Monochromatica, Roxy, I loved. She, again, a bitch who knows drag. That red, oh my God, she is stunning. She is gorgeous. Next up, we had Gottmik, and if you want to talk about fashion, wearing Versace on the fucking RuPaul's Drag Race runway. I mean, there's been a lot of discourse on Twitter about whether or not Gottmik is a fashion girl or not. How can you say she's not? Just say you don't get it. It's okay. You don't have to understand everything, but like that bitch is fashion to a T. And no pun intended, T as a trans thing. Bitch is fashion to a fucking T. Loved this look. Nina West, this look was fun. I really liked the pink little thing in front of her. It was just silly. It was fun. It was very campy, Nina West. I thought this was a good look for her. Next up is Miss Vanjie, giving us a little Michelle Visage tea. I loved it. The Michelle hair, it looked good on Vanjie and that little green dress. Like she was ready to go to the club. She looked stunning when doesn't she? Plastique, I mean, come on. Head to toe red. Literally, she's so stunning. She is so stunning. And she was giving a little nod to the Vietnamese flag. Excuse me for tripping over my words. I love that she's really delving into her culture. She's really just like giving us fashion, giving us culture, giving us fucking the plastique fantasy. I'm obsessed. I love her. And then Georges, so on brand, the little pot leaves, whatever she had, but it was kind of simple. Like it wasn't anything crazy. It was good. It wasn't anything mind blowing compared to the caliber that other girls are doing. But she did look great, and I do love me some Georges. Next up, I loved this category, drag imitates art. Angie came out. It was very simple, but it was cute. Didn't floor me, didn't do anything crazy. It was like the boxy look. I'm forgetting the artist's name. I literally have a notebook of this at work of the designer, but it was just like the primary color boxes. Oh my God, why can't I think of the designer? Or artist, whatever. Regardless, it was simple, but I did like it. It was cute. Next up, we had Chanel. This bitch is so good at drag. Oh my God. The waves on her dress, like it looked like art coming down the runway. Obsessed. Roxy, loved the concept, didn't love the execution. She did, and I'm forgetting all of these artists. Excuse me, but I have the melting clock. I'm pointing as if anybody can see it, but I literally have the clock that she was like referencing on our shelf over there. So I love the concept. I love the callback, but I just didn't love the full conception of it. I don't know. It wasn't bad, but it just I don't know. I felt like it could have been a little bit better. But again, I don't do drag, so who am I to say? Gottmik, unfucking real. Head to toe, rhinestone, the hood. That thing was so snug to her damn body. My God. You want to say she's not a fashion girl? You really want to sit here and say she does not know how to do fashion? Next. Nina West, I hated this fucking look. I hated this look. I loved the reference. I hated the look. It was terrible. Not good. Somebody who was very good though is Miss Vanjie. It was very fun. It was fun. It was Vanjie. She brought it to life. It was colorful. She looked gorgeous. Loved this look. I love like the it kind of looked like Ariana's Grammy dress, but scaled down. That one year it was really fluffy and poofy, and this one was colorful and fun and very Vanjie. Absolutely loved it. Plastique, those polka dots. Polka dots have never looked better ever. Ever. It was stunning. I loved this look from Plastique. She does not miss. And Georges, eh, again, it was cute. But after Plastique Tiara and Chanel and Roxy and Gottmik walked the runway, you gotta step it up a little bit. But she looked good. It was a cute outfit. She looked fine. It wasn't bad. Just, it's all stars. Moving on to the next and final category of the night, Paintball Eleganza, Angeria, Paris Van Michaels, devoured. I loved this look. I thought it was so cute. Thought that color was stunning on her. She is everything to me. Chanel, again, she's so good at drag. The coloring on this outfit, that like almost like ombre kind of vibe. At first when she came out, I was like, "Oh, okay, like it's great. It was gorgeous, but I wasn't like sold. And then when she kept walking and I saw like the colors and everything in it, I was like, okay, actually, she kind of devoured that. Loved that look. Roxy, I mean, duh, hello. The way that she like opened it up and revealed her body underneath. Roxy knows her body and she shows off her body. And that's what I love about her. This look was so cool. I love how it was like painted dark on the bottom and then light on top in the jacket and then reverse on the inside. Just like fun little details like that. Again, Roxy is so good at everything essentially, but especially like a design challenge. She knows her body. She knows what looks good. She knows what works. Fabulous look there. Gottmik. This look, again, Gottmik literally went to fashion school and like has a passion for painting, not makeup, but like actual paint, and it shined. You could just tell she's an artist. The way that she painted on this dress, the wig, I need her wigs to be studied. I need a lookbook of all of her wigs, and I need them to study the physics of how these work, because that like it was sick. Oh my God. I loved her hair. It was so cool. And next up, Nina fucking West. What were you wearing? You look like you took Crayola washable markers, scribbled on a corset, and called it a day. I'm gonna leave it at that. Chop, chop, chop. Banji. Very simple for this look. I didn't love it. I mean, I get the whole Puerto Rico. She was trying to, do her thing. it was just kind of simple. But again, I get it. They had to make it. But I don't know. The hair and the face, though, gorgeous. She was stamped. Her hair was right. Just kind of simple for a ball runway. Plastique is fucking insane. The way that she like contoured her body on that dress and then had that gorgeous long cape with the flowers down it. I mean, come on. And the fact that she did it while like she made it there, 10 out of fucking 10. Obsessed. And then finally, Georges. Again, simple. It was all right. Wasn't anything crazy. I don't know. But the winners of the challenge, very well deserved, Miss Plastique and Gottmik. They lip sync to Jump in the Line, which I mean, so much fun. And I, as soon as it started, I was like, oh, Gottmik is a spooky bitch. She's about to Beetlejuice the fuck out of this song. And she did. And she did win. And she cut off my Miss Southern Belle Angeria, which was very smart. I think Angeria is definitely someone to be watching out for. She is so talented. She has that charm. She has that humor. She's definitely one to watch. And I think cutting her off was a very smart decision. And that is Drag Race thus far. We obviously are just getting into this season. There's so much more to come. And I am so excited for this season. And that being said, we've made it to our final segment. We end every show here on Too Pop to Handle with my yes and my mess of the week. My yes being something I'm loving and my mess being something I'm not loving. We always start on a high note, so let's start with my yes. And this is going to be quick, simple, bleach, blonde, bad built, butch body. That's all I'm going to say. It is literally the definition of fuck around and find out. I don't want to get too into it because, I mean, I don't think anybody here is going to be like, oh my God, why are you talking about her in a negative light? But like, Marjorie Taylor Greene fucked around and found out. She literally tried to throw something fucking sideways at Miss Jasmine Crockett, and she came right back at her and hit her with those 6 Bs back to back. I was living. I was obsessed. It is a little crazy that this is happening in our government. Sure. But I am so glad that she stood up for herself and hit her back. Bleach blonde, bad built, butch body. It just rolls off the tongue. Megan Thee Stallion, you need to hop on that and use it in a line. Again, I'm not getting into politics on this. You guys know where I stand. I am a flaming homosexual. Obviously, fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm so glad that she got what was coming for her and just dished it back out to her. Moving on to my mess of the week, and this will probably ruffle a lot of feathers, and I don't really give a fuck. Taylor Swift needs to be stopped with releasing all of these albums of this fucking 31 track album. She released 3 new versions of the Tortured Poets Department last Thursday, and the only thing different was 3 voice memos, which, if you remember back in the day, we used to get the voice memos for free when you bought the CD at Target. Now you're releasing 3 new versions of an album that already has 28 copies essentially for sale to buy 4 weeks after the album comes out. And then she drops last night a Fortnite remix with Blondish. I don't know. She needs to stop. I love the bitch down. Girl, I'm not pressing play on any of the voice memos. I'm not pressing play on the remix of Fortnite. I haven't listened to half of the fucking Tortured Poets Department because it's too much. Relax. Chill out. You don't need to be doing all of this. You're Taylor fucking Swift. Okay? You're Taylor Swift. Sit, relax, release the album, and go on with it. It doesn't need to be all of this. It's fun until it's not with these things. And like, do I eat it up in certain times? Yes. When she was releasing new variants of the album and it was just the 4, and I was like, that is fun. That's cool. And then it was this version, and then it was the anthology, and then it was this version, and it's the same thing she did with like Antihero and with what was it, the Elvira's like they're just it's nonstop. It's crazy. I don't understand why you need so many versions of a song or an album, and this goes across the board for any artist releasing extra versions of any song to make a chart. I hate it. You guys, if you've been listening for a while, you know that my least favorite form of music marketing is releasing remixes of songs that are like acapella versions, sped up versions, slowed down version, this version, that version. I've done the whole bit. You guys, you know. And this will just continue to be my mess as it happens continuously. On and on. Billy just did it, fucking annoying. Sabrina just did it, fucking annoying. It just drives me nuts. But it drives me especially nuts when it's Taylor Swift, who is the biggest star in the world right now. You don't need to keep releasing these songs. You are a billionaire. Say it with me. Billionaire. Billionaire. Why do we need to buy another fucking album? Another fucking song? It's just getting insane. And with that, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Two Pop to Handle. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I sure did. If you liked what you heard and you're listening to us at a podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star review, leave us a rating, a review, tell me what you're thinking. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, drop a comment, all of the things beside dislike. If you would like to follow us on social media, you can find us at Two Pop to Handle on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many platforms. And if you would like to follow me on social media, my personals are at Andrew Nucatola on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm always yapping. I'm always talking about something. Come follow me, join the party. And like I say every episode, if everybody sends this episode to one friend, I will double in listeners. It's simple math. You guys know the drill by now. Send the episode to a friend if you're liking it. Share it to your story. Tell the people that you're listening. Leave me a review. All the things. I'm giving you quality content. Like, I'm giving you a great podcast. I think so, at least. So show me some love back. And no, you guys, you do. I get so many, like, genuinely, like, so many nice reviews, ratings, DMs, tweets. Like, I get so much love from the podcast, and it really does make me so happy because it has become like my favorite part of the week. I love doing the podcast. I love that you guys are loving it. And I'm just excited to keep doing this for like the rest of my life, I guess. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.